All right, good morning. So today we are going to go over how to take your Word documents of mostly multiple choice questions and convert them into a format that can be uploaded into Blackboard, which really help you and your students inside your course by one of two things. The tests, once they're in the system as multiple choice tests, they automatically get graded. So any student that takes it, the assignment will automatically be corrected, meaning that you will not have to correct it manually. Some of the features of online tests, you can set time durations of tests. You can set them as 15 minutes, 3 hours, any duration you want. You can control the access limitations, so you can say that this test opens on one day, and then in a few days it closes at a certain time. And you can also set due dates. Due dates typically match the same close date of an assignment or test inside the system. Some of the reasons why you might want to explore these features is these features can really help ODS requirements, and they can also help students that are in need of taking a test earlier than the rest of the class, while still securing it for the rest of the class. And you can also control when students get their results for the test. So in a typical class, you might give a test out and then next week you'll give the test back to them. They can see what they got right and wrong. You can do the same fashion in this, so students don't get the right and wrong answers right away and pass it along to their best bud in the class. You can also secure tests inside the system. So if you have, we'll say, a 25 multiple choice test, you can set it up so everyone gets the same 25 questions, but in terms of what order they fall in the test, all 25 questions will be in a different order for each student taking it. So if students are sitting next to each other, it secures it that they can't easily go and look at number two, I got B. Okay, your B is number two. And then we already touched on that they are automatically graded. So in theory, I put this outlandish example in here, that if you have a million question multiple choice tests and a billion students in one class, you will never have to grade one of those submissions if the whole test is multiple choice. Every submission will be graded as it's passed into the system. So when you think about your normal rosters, if you have a, say, 50 question multiple choice test and you have 20 students in your class, in a face-to-face environment, you would have to go through each one of those individual submissions for each one of those questions and mark it as correct or incorrect. With the system, in an instance, the moment they click submit, it's all graded. So this is a very large time saver for you as the faculty, and it is more interactive for the student. So many faculty in the system typically come in here and they might upload a test as a file, which is non-interactive. It's kind of boring. When we click on the file, it lets them open it on their computer. And when it opens on their computer, they have to then complete it and then find a way to submit it back to you. They might highlight answers, they might delete the wrong answers, they might change the color or put asterisks next to something they say is the correct answer, or in some students' cases, they might print it out and circle it and rescan it into the computer or take a picture. This method has very varying results of how you're going to get your test back when you hand it to them as a file. I can see questions on test analytics. This session is not going to go into test analytics. However, tests inside the system do have analytics where you can run, see, like 75% of the class answered this question this way. 50% of the class took more than 10 minutes on this question. Why did they take so long on this question? Is it improperly worded, or is all the answers not actually a correct answer that could go towards the answer question? There's a lot of different things you can do with tests, and I would recommend attending a full test workshop if possible. But this session is going to go into just how you can quickly take your Word document tests that are multiple choice and bring them into Blackboard. So coming back into the session. So we can see that the file isn't really interactive. Students might be able to come into the assignment area and attach the file back to you. Um, but again, you're going to get those really wide varying results of pictures from cell phones, writing you can't read, uh, and then also getting stuff in different formats. So if they might print it out rescan it, save it as a page file. Page files are Mac only files, and now you can't open a file that they sent you. So what we're going to recommend is we're going to use the assessments tool test feature, and that's going to give us the ability to put tests into the system. Now, one of the things I'm going to give you in the chat right now is the website that I like to take for converting tests. So this website, which is hosted by the Oklahoma Christian University, gives you the ability to copy and paste questions from Word documents into the system and then generate them into Blackboard. So I will place this link to this website in the chat area right now. I ask that you do not click that link. However, just remember that it is there if you want to copy and paste and bookmark it later. Again, with the email I'm going to send out with the session later on, I am going to include that link with the recorded session on how to get back to it. I can create a Word document explaining this as well. Sarah, do you have a question? Or Sahara? Sahara, I can see your hand up. They are currently reconnecting. All right, so with this, I'm going to show this website right here with my take on how to use it. So the first thing you always want to do on these is give it a name. So we're going to call this sample test 1.
Dennis, can you make that bigger, the writing bigger?
How is that?
Better. Thank you.
All right, sorry. I sometimes forget I have a 32-inch monitor in front of me. So we're going to give it just a name. So to sample test 1, you would give it whatever name is inside of your course for this test. And I'm going to bring onto the screen, because I still have that Word document open, a Word document that could look like any test that you create where it has a name on the top. You might have numbered it 1, A, B, C, D in similar format. Now, all you have to do in here, inside your Word document, is just highlight all the questions. And I'm going to highlight all 25 that are in this. You can right-click, copy, and then we can right-click, paste into the system, and you'll see that all the questions are in here. Now, right now, I know this test will work if I go to submit it, because it's formatted properly, but I'm going to show you is what you want to do in addition to just copy and paste in here, is that you're going to want to format change it just a little bit to say what the correct answer of each question is. So in terms of formatting, we always want to have a number, question text, and then immediately below that, letter options with possible answers. And then you want to have a space between the next one. And it just wants to repeat that function every single time.
Can you do that one more time, please, Dennis?
Yes, I can.
Back
So
and just do that?
Do you want me to repeat the copy and paste or just what I explained?
No, just what you're talking about adding the questions in your, I missed something there. You've added the questions, and now you want to get the correct answer.
So now once they're in this page, you're going to want to make sure they're formatted properly. So you want to make sure that each question is a number with question text next to it, and then the answers right below it with letters. In between each question, you want to have at least one space. You can have multiple space. As long as there's a space between the questions, the system will accept it. So as we're going down this page, we can see that most items are showing that it's a number, question text, and then letter with answers. Now, what we're going to do to say that what is the correct answer, this is going to be where it's going to be a little bit manual on your part this one time. So if we were to say that question A is the correct answer for question 1, we would go to the very start of the line that says A parentheses reading, and we would put an asterisk. Now, each question needs to have an asterisk on it. So when we're done, we're going to go down this list and we're going to see that each question we look at, we reference our answer key that we would normally have with the test, and we put in what the correct answer is with the asterisk next to it. It's kind of similar to a student filling out a Scantron and bubbling in something or circling the correct answer. The asterisk is the way the system knows that this is the answer that should get the point value. So I'm going to...
So after you put the asterisks on all of the questions, then we're going to copy it into like a Scantron thing.
Not exactly. So I'm going to ask everyone to pause questions here because there's going to be a lot of confusion if you're making guesses on what's going to be next. So right now we're going to focus on that we gave correct answers to just 6 questions. I'm going to remove the other 20 or so, just so we can focus on a 6-question test. So we can see that each question 1 through 6, has an asterisk associated with what is the correct answer of each of these questions. Now, at the bottom here, if the test works, we can click Generate Questions, and everything should turn green. So I'm going to click that button right now, and we're going to see that question 1 is green, question 2 is green, and in between each question, there is a small line break showing that this particular question is good, this one's also good, the rest of them are good. If you get green all the way down the page, your test has worked, we can now download it. However, if you do not get green, so I'm going to throw an error in here. So I'm going to remove the correct answer on answer 3. And I'm going to do that same generate test. If you see a question that turns red, there's something wrong with that particular question. Whereas everything else, it's saying you did it properly. So all you would need to do is just reevaluate question number 3, look at the formatting and realize, okay, I forgot an asterisk. Let me place it in there. And now when we click Generate Test, question 3 turns green. So the system is going to tell you what was right and what was wrong when you go to generate the test. Now, once you get everything in green here, we are going to go down to the bottom and we are going to click on Download Question Pool. Your first instinct is going to be used to use download test questions. For the purpose of bringing it into Blackboard, we have to use the Download Question Pool option. When we click it, it's going to give us the ability to save this to a location on our computer. I'm just going to click OK because I know it's going to save to my Downloads folder on my computer. And at this point, we would come back into Blackboard. We know that we want to build a test based on that test that we just created from that other website and we downloaded. So in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to come down to the left-hand side and we are going to go to Course Tools. Then we're going to select Test Surveys and Pools. On this page, we are going to select Pools. And we are going to do a import pool function, which is in this bar right here at the top. And that's going to allow us to import that downloaded file that we just created. So with import pool, we are going to be brought to a screen where we're going to select Browse My Computer. And we are going to navigate our own personal computer to find out where we saved that file. In my case, since I know it went to downloads, I am going to grab the file. It is a zip file, so do not open the zip file, just select the zip file. It will bring it into the system, and then by clicking the Submit button at the bottom right, this is going to bring it into Blackboard. So we can see that the screen gives us a notification that it has processed correctly. We're going to come down to the bottom right, just click OK. And we're going to see that since we gave it sample test 1 on that other website, it came into here as sample test 1. There was 6 questions that we programmed into that website. And if we wanted to see those 6 questions, we could actually drop down this menu and edit. For right now, we're going to actually go directly into building the test. So at this point, I'm going to go back into my folder on the left-hand side for converting tests workshop. And once the questions are in the system, you as the faculty would go up to Assessments, Test. We would create a brand new test because we haven't actually created this test in the system yet. We've only brought the questions in. We'll call it Sample Test 1. And for the purpose of this demonstration, we're just going to submit this into the system, and we're just going to go directly into adding the questions. We're not going to cover any of these settings for tests. So up at the top, we are going to use the Reuse Question option, and we're going to select Find Questions, because the Find Questions are going to look for other tests that you have in the system or other pools of questions that you have in the system that you can use as a repository to build this test from. So by clicking Find Question, it will bring up a screen, and I'm pretty sure I can zoom this one in as well. And we're going to look for the left. We are in the Pools area, and we know that we brought it in as Sample Test 1. If we check off Sample Test 1, we're going to see on the right-hand side the 6 questions we brought into the system. And to the left of question text, there is a box that we can check off. And by checking off this box, each sequential box below it will get checked off in the process. So this is a Select All button. So you'll see that all of them are selected. Now all we have to do at this point is click the Submit button at the very bottom right of the screen. And on the following screen, we're going to see that 6 questions were brought in. Currently, they're worth 60 points because every question that gets brought into the system just automatically gets a default value of 10 points. You can change that. But as we scroll down this page, we're going to see that each question was brought in, the question text, and then the options associated with that question, along with the asterisk answer that we provided. And going down, it is the same for each one. So that is a start to finish of taking a Word document, converting it into a Blackboard test in a one-shot process. At this point, we're going to use the rest of the session to discuss and ask questions about some of the questions and concerns you have about this now that we've gone through it in a start to finish. All right, we have a question. Can students get a percentage grade even if the point value for each question is 0? In other words, low stake quizzes give feedback. So students cannot get a percentage grade if there's no points values to anything. You can tell them that the test is not for grading purposes, that it's just for practice, but there has to be point values associated with each one so the system can calculate the grade they received. Pamela had a question on how to change point values. So the change point values on tests, although this is going more into the functions of tests rather than the converting topic, next to each question, there is a value right here that you can click on. And if I change this to 5 and submit it, you'll see that this updates to 5. The total points for it now is 55. Or another function for changing point type values is that you can use this area right here. So we can say if we have all multiple choice questions and all multiple choice questions are worth 5 points each as a static value, we can click on all, give it a point value of 5, and then click the update button. So we'll now have 6 questions, 5 point each, 30 questions total, and as we scroll down, we'll see that everyone gets a point value of 5. All right, give me 1 second to check, look through the chat. So, David, in terms of dealing with the grade in multiple choice tests, the system automatically corrects it. It goes directly into the grade center. Is there convert for multiple choice questions only? There is not convert for multiple choice questions only. If we jump back to the original website, I generally advertise multiple choice questions because there's less chance that individuals will make mistakes with multiple choice questions. But this system will actually give you the ability to do the following 6 options. So you could do multiple choice, multiple answer, true, false, essay, fill in the blank, and matching. I'm going to click on this and add an example of each one in here. And I'll show you how each one is slightly different in terms of the values that you have to program in for those types of questions. So the first one right here, this is a multiple choice question. We see that there's a number in question text with an asterisk next to the correct answer. For multiple select questions that have more than one correct answer, it's very similar to multiple choice. However, rather than just having a single asterisk next to something, each correct answer receives an asterisk. For true or false questions, it is a number with the question text next to it, followed by the next line will either say true or false. Essay questions are just a number with question text next to it. If there's no answer in the next line below it, the system realizes that you're putting in an essay. Fill in blank is you have to type the word blank, then number, type the question text, and then below it, for every letter option you're giving, this is telling the system that you will accept the following inputs for fill in the blank as correct answers. So in the question text, 2 plus 2 equals, students might type the word 4, they might type the number 4, or technically if we want to put a third option here for a real spell type of errors, they might type the word 4. All 3 of those options would be accepted as the correct answer. And then matching gets a little bit more complicated, where you have to type match, the question type next to it, and then for each one of these are going to be question pair answers. So if you had a multiple choice test that said the sky is, and the correct answer is blue, you know that these two are paired like definition and term for matching, but they have to be separated by a /. And each one of these get paired up in the system based on that / on the line they exist on. So if you wanted to explore creating tests from Word documents in this format, you can do so. However, you're going to encounter a much larger learning curve of troubleshooting syntax errors of how you've placed them in the system. And when you go to generate the question, will it register as correct or will it come up as red? And let me check back on the chat. I just have to scroll back up. Give me 1 second. The conversion is not using Responseus. This has nothing to do with the Responseus vendor. This is a open source platform that was originally designed by, I believe, Algonquin College. And since Algonquin College went to a new platform that was not Blackboard, they then passed off this tool to Oklahoma Christian University to maintain. So this is an open source tool that another college hosts for the benefit of all faculty. So Nancy asked if you have multiple choice and true false questions, can you put both in? You can. So the way to put multiple choice and true false questions in the system is that when you put them in here, they must look like the following. So you can have all your multiple choice questions in here with question text, correct answers below with the asterisk next to the correct answer, and then put true and false questions in here as well. So as long as you put them both in here at the same time, you can generate the test. Or if you want to generate all your multiple choice questions at once and then all your true false questions in a second use of this website, you can do that as well and bring them into one test in the system.
So Dennis, if I cut and paste, copied and pasted into this test generator, my whole test from the Word document, which is already up with multiple choice and true and false, do I have to do anything except cut and paste it?
You have to make sure it's formatted properly, because if your questions are set up like this, so we'll say that A is true, B is false.
With an asterisk in front of it, in front
Nope.
of the
So
correct answer.
not in true and false. Asterisks only go in front of the multiple choice and multiple select types.
Oh,
If you put this in here like this for a true and false question, when you go to generate the test, it's going to say that this does not make sense.
okay.
However, if you remove the text and just say it's true as the next line when we go to generate it, it will accept it as a true false question.
Asterisk.
Dennis, to save those.
Give me 1 second. I just want to check catch up on the chat because I know there was a lot more that came in. So we cannot put in a test. Try putting in a test for this session. You can practice it in your own Blackboard courses. In terms of using diagrams or pictures or images inside of a test, you're going to have to convert the test first and then add the images later on into the correct questions. So if you want to put a diagram into your test, it has to be done directly through Blackboard. It cannot be done through this tool. Can we go into the test mode to try the tests we create as students? David, so you can try any test you want in the system as a student. At the top of everyone's course inside the system, there is this edit mode is on or off with this little dot with swirly arrows next to it. That is the student preview. By clicking this, you go into a student account and you can try anything in your course as a student. So if it works through student preview, it'll work for everyone. If you can't get to something through student preview, no student can get to it. Carol, the coding might be very similar to Responseus, but Responseus is a paid platform, so this is a free alternative. Is editing a test possible once it is live? Editing a test is possible as long as no students have taken it. Once a student takes it, you cannot edit the test. And that catches up on all the questions in the chat.
So Dennis, is there a way to save the test generator or no? Once you do it and you copy it into Blackboard and you go back to it, it's gone, right? There's no save feature in that?
There is no save feature on this website. This is just a
Right.
input, output. There's no
Right.
save. However, once you bring it into Blackboard, you can edit any of these questions that you want. You can put them into multiple tests. You can copy them from course to course.
Right. And did you say that you're going to create kind of a cheat sheet for us that will remind us how to follow these steps? Because it did go kind of fast for me and I didn't write it all down as you were going.
So in
Yeah.
terms of this session, just because there's usually a lot of Q&A that happens regardless of how quickly we go through it, the first portion of the session has all been recorded, so everyone will get a link to that recording. So if they want to pause the video, slow down the video, speed it up, they can do it on their own time.
Yeah, that's
but
great.
I will be providing a step-by-step Word document that has the link in here, how to copy and paste your questions in, and I will throw in some examples of this is a wrong formatted question, this is how it should look. So some troubleshooting to it.
Thank you, Dennis. That'll be very helpful.
You're very welcome. So this session is, go ahead.
Will that be a Word document?
It will be most likely a PDF.
Okay.
That way, when we send it out to you, you can't accidentally type into it and save it and erase some of the data that might have been there previously. Does anyone else have any specific questions about converting tests? Once we have developed and downloaded to our computer and saved, can we put into year after year? So in terms of once you have it downloaded and saved and put into Blackboard, once you've uploaded it to Blackboard, as long as you're doing a course copy from semester to semester, There is no need to ever re-upload it to Blackboard because that course copy will bring over any tests you've developed, any content, everything as a whole into the next section you're teaching. So courses are carbon copies of older courses as you move forward. So you can still save it on your computer if you want to keep a local copy or save it in the college's OneDrive. But once you've placed it in Blackboard, it is in a safe location.
And once it's in one course, we can copy it into the other courses as well, right?
Once you've uploaded it into one course, you can bring a test from one course individually into another course, but you'll have to go through an export and import process to move it over just that test. However, if you're doing complete course copies, everything comes with it.
Dennis, is it possible to see how this test would appear if the student, after the student had taken it, right?
Yes, it would. So let me add this test to this course. I'm going to generically open it up. So we will say, yes, it is available to students. And I will go into a student preview taking this test. So students would be able to click on sample test 1. They would click on begin. And they would see the following questions. Each question they would be able to select what they believe the correct answer to be. And what's nice about the system is if we look over to the right where it says 5 points save answer, the system automatically goes through and saves answers as they proceed through the test. So even if I do not click the save answer button, and I'm just say over here right now, in a few moments time, the system saves their progress as they go. So at the end, we're going to click save and submit. Before we click save and submit, Pamela had a question, can they edit their answers? They can only edit their answers before they click save and submit. So if they want to go back and change any option they did, they can still go up. You as the instructor, I would highly recommend passing on the information that students should really go with their first gut thought unless they're 100% certain they want to change the answer because they know they didn't answer it correctly. Usually students' first guess based on what they believe is the correct answer is usually correct, and when they second guess themselves, they go back. They'll get the wrong answer at that point. So at this point, we are going to click Save and Submit. We are going to click OK. Going back before we click OK, Pamela had a follow-up question. The system, the question was, does it tell them if they don't answer something? The system will warn them if they did not answer a question. So if I didn't answer question 3 here and I click Save and Submit, I'm going to get the following screen that says you may have left some questions unanswered, and it'll actually list numerically which questions the system has no answer for. And clicking OK, we're going to see that the test is in the system. In this case, I did not add any customized review to it, so we can see that they took 1 minute to take the test. They got 5 out of 30 points. And if they scroll down, they don't see what's right and wrong because we didn't customize the results feedback. But we know for question 6, we got 5 points right here. Now the instructor side is going to see inside the full grade center. So let me close this out. We're going to go into grade center, full grade center. The instructor will see inside here when we get over to the column that has the sample test that this user right here achieved 5 points on the test. If we want to see what the student got on that, we can drop down the menu, click on attempt, and we will see what they answered for each one. Now, the reason why it didn't appear in needs grading is since this was a multiple choice question test and the system had all the correct answers already, it doesn't go to needs grading because the system says it doesn't needs grading, it's already graded. And it just skips over that process. So Diane, in terms of setting it so it can't start and continue later, I don't want to go into too many of the details on all the functions and settings you can put onto a test. I would much rather recommend doing a workshop on all settings of tests and how to customize the access date, the results, the testability exceptions. That can be an entire workshop on its own. and I will throw in a small plug for myself that anyone that's looking for more in-depth training, if you see something that's not on the workshop schedule and you want to get more one-on-one training, you're always welcome to reach out to Diane, Thais, myself, Will Duffy for one-on-one training on a particular core topic that you are looking for training on.
Yeah, Dennis, do you know if they're going to be offering a full test workshop, or do we need?
Unfortunately, I do not have the workshop schedule in front of me. I
I
only
didn't
actually ended up,
listed.
yeah, I only ended up pulling up the workshop schedule today because I realized that nobody was in my session, and I figured that this would be a topic that everyone would want to get some like experience with. That's how the only reason why I discovered that we were in the wrong room today. But in terms of if there is a full test workshop coming up, I do not know off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I wanted that training because I have the course pack from the publisher that already has the test banks created, and then it's just a matter of choosing and picking and choosing what questions I want to use from the test bank. But I don't know how to import that test bank because I don't think I need this if I can import their actual test bank. But
So
they did give a Word document version of the test, so I could still use this feature if I had to.
So in terms of the publisher files that you can get, as long as they're the proper files, they can be brought into our system. I will, after the session is complete, review what the upcoming workshops are, and if I do not identify one that is for creating tests in the system, what I'll do is I'll reach out to the team to see if anybody wants to host one of them, and if anyone is unable to host it, I can always look at my schedule and host one myself.
Yes, I think we
Right,
need one.
right, thank
I've
you.
not seen any in the same.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
there actually Blackboard tutorials though that we could just do on our own that would show us how to do that?
there absolutely is. So I recommend that, I'm gonna sell myself out here. 99% of my job is Googling stuff online, looking for tutorials and learning it my way to present it back to faculty. Anyone that ever wants to know how to do something in particular, going on YouTube and say, how do I do this? There's a wealth of videos out there that are fantastic for that use.
Thank you, Dennis.
And Blackboard does have its own series of videos, as Susan pointed out. The advanced training will cover some of the assessments. Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Karen. I
Is there an
realize obviously
attendance
this
sheet
has
for this session?
that is it for this session. I know it's a very fast-paced one in terms of the topics we've covered. This is one of the unorthodox workshops because since we use external tools and we have to jump between multiple files, we try to get through as fast as we can just so we can get to this part to ask more in-depth questions and get feedback. And then watching the video later on and going through it at your own pace and taking the subsequent material for step by step in the document I'm going to send out will hopefully really tie together what we are trying to accomplish here. And I'm going to copy and paste in the attendance for anyone that has not completed it as the
Okay.
very last item inside of this chat. And for anyone that is interested in exploring the website, I'm also going to paste the website in here that I use for generating the test.
Dennis, I can't see the chat. Am I on your list, Denise Lamoureux?
You are in my chat area, so I'm going to pause the recording here.